have to understand the tiny disparity between the two. And indeed, let me just go further to say that all of these SAs, SSA, as it were, their basic function is to support high-ranking government officers, such as the governor, the president, the seven senator, the House of Rep members, state House of Assembly members, as it were. Now, but in all of it is tried to mention here that SSA is commonly just seen on one part. The acronym is seen on one part, just special senior special assistant. But as a matter of fact, you also got SSA, which are senior special advisor. You have senior special assistant. So you see, the acronyms will still be SSA. Then when you go further, even for the essays, you have special assistants and you got special advisors. And then going further, you can also have legislative assistants and so on and so forth. But all of this, like I said, their duties actually is to support high-ranking government officials, some of which I've mentioned, those very key offices, as it were. So that's uh, the difference. Therefore, is that an SSA actually provides operational support to its principal, while a special advisor provides expert advice in terms of policy and decision making. So that's the difference between the two.
Honorable sir, please. I want you to repeat what you just said. You said the SSA is for what?
They provide operational support to their principal, while the special advisors they provide expert advice
May
in
advice.
terms of decision making. Yes, expert advice. They
May
call it expert
advice.
advice. Yes. So and take note that when you say expert advice, looking at the word expert, you will see that government officials usually both at the executive level and the legislative level having special advisors, you see, they have different designations. And it therefore means that some of these persons that will be put at this different level are people who are tested, trusted, that they could deliver on that designation. So you will have to be somewhat professional to be able to grant the kind of advice and support that the principal want in order for them to succeed. Take note also that one of the reasons why you have these appointees or aides is to the effect that, for example, a senator cannot be everywhere at the same time. So these are the people that provide that fills up the gap for the senator. So there must be people who understand what they are coming in, what they are coming to provide or bring to the table in order for this man to succeed. So that's practically why you have different designations. But so you see SSA on this, SSA on this, and then essay on this, essay on this. We have to use the essay, despite the fact that I've broken it down by explaining the whatever. So some persons will say, for example, say on gas. It could just be they are referring to special assistant on gas. But meanwhile, in my own case now, it is special advisor on gas. So our duties as special advisor to provide expert advice in line with our designation. So the senior special uh, assistant or senior special advisors will do so because these are people who have tested at got some experiences coming down. That's why they call them senior advisors, senior special advisors. At the same time, you've got senior special assistants. But all these senior special assistants and what have you, they provide operational support. While special advisors they provide expert advice in line with the designation that has been put out for them to bring about success in the office of the man who has appointed them to perform.
Honorable, will it be right or will it be out of place if I say from your analysis now, from explanation, if I say your senator you present fails, the team of SSA and SA, they all fail? Will it be right if I categorically say that you and your team have failed if he fails? Will it be right to hold you guys accountable for failing as SSA?
Of course, it's like saying, yes, of course, it's like saying, for example, if a department at the executive level, let's say one state department now, of course, you have the one we call the ministry, department, and agencies, MDA. Meaning, let's not look at the ministries. If a minister is not functional, you see what happened in terms of the little shake of at the presidential level, which is the executive arm. Now, if the man or your principal isn't succeeding, generally these persons who have been appointed, they've all must have failed. That's the point. Because the reason why you also have ministers, like I was going to, is to the effect that if since the executive, that's the president or the governor, can't be everywhere. The reason why I got this person is for them to be able to advise and make these ministries functional. So if the president fails, except for the fact, take note, in a presidential system of government, the buck stops at the table of the executive arm. But at the legislative level, the truth is this: you will not be wrong if for example, my principal fails now. Then I have actually failed in my own duty and responsibility. That's the long and short of
That's
it.
exactly what I want to hear, Honorable. You've done well by explaining yourself. Can we ask you second question, please? My
Go ahead.
Honorable, what are the primary duties of you as the SSA? What are your primary
As an
duties?
as an essay,
Fundamental
as an
duties?
essay,
Yes,
yes,
yes, as I
as
say.
an essay. My fundamental duty, like I said, I've actually encapsulated in my opening, is to provide expert advice, particularly in line with my designation. Because take note, if I'm a special advisor designate for gas, by implication, it means at every point is for me to provide expert guidance. Let me not use the word guidance. And then also to liaise with the constituents of my principal, and then be able to also do some representative work. And don't forget, another part of it is this: using the legislation now, the National Assembly in this question, is to the effect that one other basic function has to do with bill drafting, amendment, and of course advocacy. Now, the principal is an intelligent person, but the point, like I mentioned or alluded to earlier, it is not all seen. So where we come in is to provide that enabler. We are the enablers to be able to give some certain guidance over the areas where there are oversight. Don't forget to one of the basic functions relating it to the National Assembly now is to provide not just making law, not just law making, but in terms of the fact that, for example, the budgetary uh, allocation has been made, that is the duties of the National Assembly members is to, particularly the Senate, is to ensure that this budget actually trickle down to where it is, and then what they are budgeted for should be. And don't forget, because the senator likely can be everywhere, then we come in to fill that void. And then when there is need to step back, because he is the one that is at the front, we step back and say, "Sir, this is what we have found out for or for example, coming back to gas. Let's zero it down. Now, on gas, for example, you know what they call impact assessment. For example, we have companies exploring gas in several communities. In this case, now for Delta South Senatorial District. For example, my job now is to, you know, um, deal with the um, Nigeria Upstream Downstream Regulatory Commission, which was former DPRO, and then maybe get statistics, and then now visit these communities, and then of course at the same time now reach out to the gas exploration companies in those communities, and then feed my principal back if there are any lacunas anywhere. So that's what we've been trying to do at the background to ensure that he succeeds. And that goes back to the question you raised earlier, because if he fails, I have failed in my own assignment. So that is where I would like to leave it for now.
Okay, in the course of carrying out your duties as an SSA, and as SA, is it SC or SSA?
Essay, special advisor.
Okay, as an SA, in the course of carrying out your duties, what will you do in conflict resolution involving an activist? Maybe you go to a host country, a host community where you have hostile people. What will you do when you meet a conflict, an issue there? How will you resolve it involving an activist and you know activists are not friends to the government, what will you do when you meet yourself in
Well,
such situation?
primarily, for me, activists for the um, sake of sincerity, activists are seen as stakeholders and partners in progress, because the idea between activism and those who are serving the public is to provide positive change and impact. So, if there are issues relating to, firstly, is to be able to do an impartial, personal, professional assessment of the situation, give good listening ear, and then be able to come up with amicable resolution to ensure that all parties all parties feel satisfied, because our duty is not actually to hoodwink or to, you know deprive people who are already being deprived. Of course, that's why we have representatives. So ours is to ensure that we do good listening. We also assess the issue, and then, like I said, if there are issues that goes beyond us, we know how where to channel it. It is not our duty to compound any issues that we meet on the ground. So we see comrades like yourself and others who are under the human rights whatever as partners in progress. So there's no cause where we'll do this, because our constitution is very clear as it relates to human rights. So if the issue that we're dealing with, if, for example, comrades are also not infallible. If we find out that they do not understand what is on ground, it's not as if one will be aggressive. It's just to make throw some light on it, because of that word partnership. We see ourselves as partners in progress to the in the overall interest of the Federal Republic of Nigeria at any level.
Now, I want to ask you a very dicey question, my honorable. Would you violate the rights of any citizen in the course of carrying your dealings, your duties as an SA? Will you do that to protect your principal if it has to do with
Firstly,
protection of your principal?
firstly, let me make it absolutely very clear that I'm perhaps fortunate to have gotten a principle that would equally, in the first instance, not even violate the right of any citizen, particularly in Delta South Senatorial District and generally in the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So I am lucky. So I may not be the best person to respond to that question, but because you have asked me, the truth is there is no basis, because one of my function is guidance, advice. So if we have a listening principle like the one I've got, and the one who does not trample on human rights, the basis of whether I would I would protect him in violation of citizens' rights, for me, has no basis. So we're clear
We
with
have
that.
honorable, we have so many politicians that is kind of fun to them. They enjoy violating on human rights. So if you find your principal in such a state and you are your principal and the citizen, will you take the side of a principal knowing fully well that he is violating the human rights of the particular citizens? Will you toe his part? Will you support him? Or will you speak up as an SSA, a comrade, a brother, a Nigerian, a good citizen of Federal Republic of Nigeria? Will you support him to violate the rights, or you take a stand as a well-meaning Nigerian? That's what I'm saying. If you find
Let me
your
correct again.
principal, if you find your principal
Mm.
in that uh, situation, what will you do as an SSA or an SA? What will you do?
Well, I just told you earlier that I'm very fortunate. I don't know about others, but what you are saying now, goes to the fact that I say power corrupt, absolute power corrupt, absolutely. Yes, it will not
Yes,
be out of place to see people who violate human rights on the back of the fact that they are, they are at that pinnacle of public service. Now and then,
yes.
Why I say I'm lucky is that my principle, just like every Democrat, understand that power is transient. And there is no other better way to respond to this question than to say, I am very lucky because I know I will not find him in such situation.
You are very sure of that, sir.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
He must be a very nice man for you to beat your chest that, because we see a lot of politicians violating our rights. Me as an activist, that's my area where I will not take. I will always come for you. We'll come for you. We'll drag you to the social media space. Make sure we do a lot of publication that we not really tarnish your name, bring public awareness for people to see the kind of person you are. I'm appreciating you for this section of my interview. My name is Comrade Sondrix, the owner of the Drive. Here with me is Honorable Ese Jerry Azakaza, SSA on gas on Delta State Senatorial. What? If I'm wrong, you correct me, please.
Special advisor, not
Okay.
SSA.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Thank
So,
you, sir.
so I don't
Thank you.
so I don't offend myself and offend my colleagues.
All right.
So I won't take
It's
what is
okay.
not mine.
Thank you.
You know.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Well done, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.